Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you all the latest news from the greatest team in the world. That's right, all the names from Rangers. You know what? I've worked in retail management now for, I don't know, what is it now? 7 years, 7 years. And believe it or not, I've heard every excuse why someone can't start a shift on time. I've heard them all. I've heard every single excuse. But I've got to say, after today's press conference with Philippe Clément, I kind of wondered, were we watching some sort of satirical parody of Rangers Football Club? Or were we watching some sort of, I don't know, just some sort of Faulty Towers-esque moments from the manager? I'm just lost for words. I actually laughed. I've got to say, I actually laughed. What was the comment I laughed at? Well, the comment I laughed at was, I think it was this one. There we go. This is the comment that genuinely made me laugh. When he was asked about Robin Proper and his availability to play, this was the response that Philippe Clément gave to that question. Robin Proper is fit, but he had a busy few days off the pitch he has had to sort since arriving in Scotland with his family. Right. So, look, I might be completely taking this out of context, and I might be completely just, I don't know, trying to be too facetious about this whole situation. But are you honestly telling me that Proper can't start because he's been too busy moving house and he's been too busy organising, going to Ikea or B&Q or any other home improvement shop or looking around estate agents or something? I mean, I'm genuinely lost for words. I genuinely, if it comes tomorrow that the starting lineup comes out, I think it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, isn't it? So, around about 5:45 when the lineup comes out, if Proper is not starting because he's been too busy at home sorting out his moving, sorting out his flat pack furniture, sorting out his wallpapering or whatever he's been up to, his painting or whatever he's been doing, I think questions need to be asked. I really genuinely do think questions do genuinely need to be asked of the way this football club is being run. I even, I think, joked on X. I'm going to try that excuse for the rest of the week to get out of work or to start work when I fancy starting work, because I've been busy with my kids, or I've been busy walking my dog, or I've been busy, I don't know, feeding the animals or tidying or cutting the grass or something. So, I'm not really able to start. I'm sorry, but the guy was signed as a professional footballer for Rangers. Therefore, if you're signed as a professional footballer and you are fit to play football, therefore you turn up for football and you play when you're manager. You play from the start of the game. I challenge you all tomorrow for work. Ring up your boss and say you can't start the shift or you can't start work when they want you to, because you've got to do the ironing or you've got to do the cleaning or you need to wallpaper this spare room, or you've got the grass to cut. You try that excuse, see how well it goes down, because I think you might be looking for a new job come Thursday morning. Like I said, I read that comment and then I listened to that comment and I just genuinely thought, did you actually think before you spoke, Philippe Clément? I mean, look, I'm not saying sack the manager. I'm not saying I'm just saying that sometimes I do worry, with some of these comments that come out of his mouth. I really do. It's just an absolute farce. It is an absolute and complete and utter farce that allegedly a new signing is not going to play because he's been too busy going down Ikea. It's just funny. I mean, you've got to laugh or you'd go mental, wouldn't you? But it just shows a wider problem that this club, I think, that playing for the football club seems to be the very lowest of priorities for a lot of these players, amongst, getting paid, driving their Lamborghinis, posting on TikTok, posting on Instagram, posting on X, going shopping at Ikea, or any other home improvement store. It just seems that playing for the club is way laid down the list of priorities, and that's not how it should be. I remember once listening to Paul Ince being interviewed, and some of you may not like Paul Ince, and some of you may like, it doesn't really matter. That's not the purpose of this story. Paul Ince had just recently moved to Inter Milan, and someone from the club, when he arrived, sat him down and they said to him, right, where you're moving to this house. Okay, what do you need? When's your wife's birthday? When's your kids' birthdays? What car do you want? What bank account do you want? And Paulins, well, I'll sort that. No, you tell us what you want. We will sort it for you. You're here to play football. You're here to play for Inter Milan. Everything else, we will sort for you. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. You know, when you move to a football club, when you commit to play for a football club, everything else is secondary. You know, yes, your family do come first. I agree on that one. But everything else, you know, in terms of moving house, wallpapering your house, going shopping, whatever, buying a car, opening a bank account, buying a birthday, it's secondary. And I think this just smacks of complete unprofessionalism. It really does. And like I said, you've got to laugh or you go absolutely berserk. But when I read that comment really seriously, guys, I honestly nearly just died laughing. I genuinely did, because I think if I hadn't, like I said, I'd have gone mental. So that's just ridiculous. I mean, it really genuinely is. So, you know, it looks like Robin Proper won't start again because he's too busy down Ikea, picking up his flat pack furniture and then building it up his house. So, look, hey, you know what? Another day, you know, without him. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's only 40 million quid at stake. It's only the Champions League at stake. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Honestly, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Obviously, the other big point to come out of the presser was the news about Oscar Cortez. Philippe Clément revealed in the press conference today that Oscar Cortez did not travel with the squad and will be out for 4 to 5 weeks. Obviously, add that to the Nicholas Raskin injury. It was a really unlucky fall with a twisted knee. It was an unlucky injury from a collision. It seems like a narrative now, you know. The Raskin injury was unlucky from an unlucky challenge, from a bad challenge. This was an unlucky fall from an unlucky collision. I don't know how you have an unlucky collision, but there we go. So Cortez is out for 4 to 5 weeks. This is his second major injury in a short space of time. This is a player that we are obligated to pay £4.5 million for next summer. Look, I've got no doubt in my mind that Oscar Cortez is a very talented footballer. We saw in flashes last season how good he is. You know, his ability to run at players, take on players, come inside, go outside, take a shot, score a goal, assist a goal. You know, that is obvious. I mean, the lad has some talent. I mean, yes, I know people say, well, you can't just hark back to what he did at a Youth World Cup 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, okay. But what I'm looking back is reflecting on his performances against Hearts last season. His performances, you know, in the Scottish Cup, you know, where he looked very good indeed until he obviously got that injury. But yet again, it's another serious injury for the player, and you can't help but feel that is this a kind of a weakness there? Is that something that, you know, that is going to continue to be an issue throughout his career? Now, if that is the case, we need to take a look at this deal and say, is it really worth paying the £4.5 million if he's constantly out injured? And I mean, Clément did then go on to talk about the fact that, you know, that he's pushing him through this speedy rehab process to get him back. He said he will be an important player for the club in the future. It's a blow, but this is part of football for every club. We need to focus on the fast rehab. The quality in our rehab is better than last season, so we know he will come back even better. So, I mean, you've got to kind of hope that the changes that have allegedly been made to the medical department over the summer, you know, are going to see an improvement in players' recuperation and speed of recuperation. I mean, certainly it was legendary last season, wasn't it, that a player would be injured, would be out for a couple of days or a week, and then 2 months later would still be on the treatment table with Van Yilmaz, for example. So it is going to be a big test of this alleged new shift in our medical staff in terms of the improvement. Look, I agree. You know, a fit, you know, firing Cortez will be an important part of this club going forward. You know, he's an asset. He's someone I think, you know, that if does go on to prove how talented a player he genuinely is, can be sold for a lot of money. But this injury issue is a little bit of a concern for me. You know, like I said, if it was just his first injury after, you know, last season, then fine, fair enough. Injuries happen. You know, yes, I agree. You know, clubs are unlucky, players are unlucky, and it happens. But it just appears to me that there is something not quite right with the boy in terms of injury. So, look, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I certainly do. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very talented player. I think he has a big part to play for the club if he's fit. if he's fit. And that's the big question mark, isn't it? If he is fit. In terms of the presser, it was all very fairly standard stuff about wanting to qualify, about wanting to test yourself in the Champions League. Talking about the Champions League in comparison to the Europa League and the difference in strength and the difference in level. And I get all that, and the games being very different. Of course, they're different. That's just the way it is. Yes, the Champions League games are different. You're playing against teams with vastly superior budgets. You're playing against teams of a slightly higher level than you'll be experiencing in the Europa League. Although these days you look at the Europa League teams, and there are some exceptionally strong teams in the Europa League this season. I mean, you look at the likes of, say, Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, for example, very, very strong indeed. Coming out of England, who will be a major threat to any club in the Europa League. But tonight's game is one that it will be very, very tough, and I think a lot will depend on A, what tactics we use, B, what team is selected, and C, our opponent's Dynamo Kyiv. Now, if you look at, for example, what tactics we use, we're going away to Lublin to play in Poland against Dynamo Kyiv. Obviously, Kyiv cannot play at home due to the ongoing situation in the Ukraine. It might be in the near future you can't actually go and play in England, given the ongoing situation in England. But we obviously we do stand with the Ukrainian people in their fight for freedom, and that's absolute. But look, at the end of the day, this is going to be a very, very tough game. This is a very fine side we're facing. I think anybody who sat and watched the two games against Partizan saw that they're a very attacking team. They're a team that like to keep possession of the ball. Their wingers and their fullbacks will often invert. They're a team that are, very, very, very aggressive in the way they play. So, this is not going to be an easy tie. I mean, the guy who is the manager is Shavkovsky, who is a former Ukrainian international goalkeeper, a guy who spent the vast majority of his career with Dynamo Kyiv, coached with Kiev, also coached with the Ukrainian national team. So, has a varied CV of experience in terms of coaching at international level and club level. Their team, very difficult to pronounce. They play with a 4-3-3, so it's pretty much like a formation you often come up against in the Scottish game. A midfield three of Shaparenko, Bulishki, and Pikalyonyuk. I think that's how you say his name. That's going to be a tester. We're going to need to see that whoever our midfield duo plus attacking midfielder is really works hard to stifle those three and to stop them from playing and stop them from getting control of the game. In terms of their attacking talent, they've got their front three are very attacking, very good footballers. Vanat, their centre forward, very talented. Yarmolenko is old now, but is a very, very good, technically gifted footballer. Voloshin on the left as well. Their fullback, they've got a defence as well. Popov, very experienced defender. Dishuk, Dunachik, and Karayev, and their goalkeeper Bushan. This is a good Kiev team, a determined Kiev team. I think, what you've often seen from a lot of the Ukrainian teams, and as much from their national team over the last few months, year, and so on, has been a determination to do well, a determination to kind of, do well for their country. There is a real motivating factor there, isn't there, to represent the country, to give the people who are are suffering at home something to cheer about, something to be happy about. I'm not saying that football will cure all the ills, not when you're at war and you're seeing the death and suffering around you, but something to kind of hang on to. So they'll go out there, they'll play with a determination to win, a determination to succeed, and you're going away to the Lublin Stadium, in Kiev. I think a lot of it now will hang on keeping the tie. I don't necessarily think that the aim will be to get the victory out there. I think the aim will be to, for me, will be to keep the tie into a position where we can actually come back to Hampden. Yes, it's not Ibrox. Yes, it's not the Ibrox noise, but at least give us a chance to come back to Hampden with an opportunity still to win the game. That's got to be the way we look at this. Going into the game tonight. In terms of the lineup, this is what gives me the absolute fear, with the news that obviously Proper is too busy shopping at Ikea, that Oscar Cortez is out injured. Obviously, Yanis Haji played for the B team today. Todd Cantwell is still obviously not allowed to play for the team. Bailey Rice played for the B team today. Adam Devine played for the B team today. So and Ciala played for the B team today. So they're obviously, not out in the Ukraine, out in Poland with the rest of the first team squad. So, it does sort of limit your options. Now, I know a lot of you'll say, well, some of those weren't named in the European squad. True. But some of those homegrown talents like Bailey Rice, Poncio can actually just play because they're homegrown talent. Now, look, I mean, if I was picking the team, I would go for something completely different. I'd match them up. I'll talk about what I would pick in a minute. In terms of what I think the manager will choose tomorrow, I think this will be the lineup that will go out there to play. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, if that is the lineup that is published at 6:15 tonight, I will have the absolute fear because that team is a long way short of being able to compete with Kiev and being able to compete on a European stage. I mean, you look at that squad and down the right-hand side, you see just eminent weakness. You see a defender that really can't defend, a winger that shouldn't be playing for the club. A central defensive pairing, I think, that looks slightly stronger and better, if I'm being honest, with Balogun in the defensive pairing. I mean, John Suter for me is a decent enough defender. I mean, he's probably not starting quality, has a mistake in him, but I think Leon Balogun alongside him will make him a lot better. I think with Ben Davies alongside him, there is a nervousness there. There is a more of a mistake because Davies often leaves him exposed. Davies steps out and lets runners run off him, which obviously puts John Suter in difficult positions. So I hope that Balogun will start there. I do have a fear that Ben Davies will because last season in Europe he did okay, but he's seen as more being a European defender. Yilmaz for me has to start on left back because he's the best left back we've got at the club. Nothing against Hefte. I like Hefte. I think he's going to be a good player for the club going forward. But in the short term, when you need solid defence, you've got to go with Ridvan. He is the better natural defender. Dio and Connor Barron will be the defensive pairing because they are by far the two best players on the squad at this moment in time. Dio is a top player. Connor Barron has been probably our best player so far, come pre-season and the first game of the season. The attacking three behind, the attacking four actually just look like, I try so hard to be positive about things, and sometimes it's so hard. The attacking four are just dross. I mean, they're absolute dross. I mean, you can see that from Saturday. I mean, 62% possession, 3 shots. That's it. And Dessa's missed 3 of them. Rotundo for me is an impact sub. I think he's good coming off the bench. His pace against people will tire people out. He'll do well from that aspect, but he's not a star for me. And he just at times, will let his feet just go quicker than his brain, and he just runs down daft alleys and doesn't create enough. But that's kind of a whole situation. And I think Václav Černý should start. Don't get me wrong. I do think Václav Černý should start, but I don't think the manager will start him. I don't genuinely think the manager will start him. I think he'll pick his love child Scott Wright over him. Scott Wright is just appalling. I mean, the guy is just shit. I mean, he just is pure unadulterated. Not even second rate, third rate. He's third rate, that lad. Tom Lawrence, he's a decent enough player, but to me, he looks like his legs are gone. I think David Edgar, like I said multiple times, has got it right. He looks good when he doesn't have to do any running. And Dessa's, I mean, look, I know there's a lot of people out there who are Dessa's fans. He scored 22 goals last season. Well, yeah, he did. Well done. Congratulations, Cyril. But he scored 1 in Europe. Okay, I don't want to hear about the other 21. When he came to playing in Europe against some of the best teams in Europe, he scored 1 goal. 1. Oh, but what a goal. Yes, it was a very good goal. Don't get me wrong. But the miss against PSV when it was 0-0 still in that away leg in the Philips Stadion didn't even work the goalkeeper. I can't remember whether it was Kenny Miller or Chris Boyd or who it was doing the co-commentary that night, but said, at least work the goalkeeper. He's got to at least work the goalkeeper. Benfica, we were toothless at home. Dessers was part of the problem. The guy scored 1 goal in Europe, and certainly nothing I saw on Saturday gives me a confidence that he's going to score any tonight. Danilo will probably on the bench. Is he going to play him? That's the question. He's got to play him at some point. I don't, the managers came out and he said post-game that, Danilo's a long way off starting, and a long way off playing. Well, why is he on the bench then? Like I said in the video, reflecting on the game on Saturday, if Dessers goes down, heaven forbid, injured in the 2nd minute or the 10th minute or the 5th minute or whatever in the first half, then you've got to bring on a sub from the bench. Now, if your only striker on the bench is Danilo, surely it would follow through that Danilo would put on, unless he puts Cherney up there or something, we play without a striker. Well, why name him on the bench if he's not? I don't understand it. I genuinely don't. And I've said this a number of times about some of the decisions that we take at this club that are just utterly bizarre, utterly weird decisions that just seem to make absolutely no sense whatsoever. I don't get it. And you know, if you're going to get a player fit, if a player is fit, and I don't mean match fit, I mean fit enough to actually play a game, fit enough to run around, isn't injured, then to me, how are you going to get him match fit? Well, by giving him match minutes. He's not going to get match fit or match minutes by playing at Okkenhowie or in a training camp somewhere. He only gets match fit by playing games. That's how he does it. You know, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half an hour there. Build it up. I'm you know, look, I am a little bit just confused with the whole situation as to what is going on at this moment in time at the club, in terms of team selection, in terms of tactics, in terms of use of players, in terms of use of the best players we have in the squad. You know, for me, I would say that, you know, we need to be more ambitious. We need to play with, you know, with a bit more freedom. We need to be a bit more aggressive in the tackle. We need to put in a little bit more effort. We need to really, you know, push it a little bit further and impose ourselves on games a little bit better. You know, yes, I understand that our options are limited because of injury now, because obviously we have no Nicholas Raskin, we have no Oscar Cortez. You know, these players are all missing. Now, if I was picking the team for tomorrow night, and I'm going to put my team up in a minute, and you might say, thank God, Owen, you're not picking the team, and what do you know? And, you know, we all have our opinions, and that's the beauty of this game, that we all have our opinions, and we all have, you know, the right to those opinions. But I honestly think that we can do an awful lot better than what we are putting out there. I think Clément, to me, is making some fundamental mistakes and fundamental errors in some of his selections. You know, really do think that is the situation. So, you know, for me, there has got to be a real, I don't know, ambition in selection, a real push it out there a little bit, give it an opportunity. Now, look, this is what I would choose if I was the manager tomorrow night. This is how I would start tomorrow night. So Butland in goal obviously picks him stealth. No, he's not a stealth fighter, Owen. Stealth self. Sterling, if he's fit, plays. If not, I would start Leon King at right back because he's a better defender. And at the end of the day, I think we're going to have to be more defensive tomorrow. You know, play with a bit more defensiveness tomorrow. Balogun has to start for me. Best defender at the club at this moment in time. Proper for me. You telling me he's starting? Whether he plays 50 minutes an hour because he's too busy, he's too tired from putting up flat pack furniture, I don't know. But to me, he's got to play. He has to play. He's a footballer for Rangers. We're paying him a lot of money. He has to play. Ridvan at left back, Barron and Diamande. You know my reasons there. Cherney has to start ahead of Scott Wright. He's a better player. He's a much better player. You've seen, yes, we haven't seen him for Rangers, granted, but looking over his career, looking over what he's achieved in his career, this is a much more talented player than Scott Wright, who is a Scottish Championship player at best. I'd put Dowell in the 10 role because he's more mobile, he can run more, he's quicker than Lawrence. He can also drop back into more of a 3 as well, so we can go as a 3 to defend against their 3 and match up. He's got a bit more of that about him. He can do a bit more running, whereas Lawrence, for me, can't do that. Matondo and Dessers, because there's no other choice, because Danilo allegedly can't play from the start, and there is realistically no other winger at the club other than Matondo. Hefte, I suppose, is a possibility, but I don't think that is a realistic opportunity there that will actually be taken by the manager, although I would be interested to see Hefte play ahead of Ridvan. Look, guys, let me know what your teams are. Look, for me tonight, it's about keeping it close. It's about keeping it within winnable distance. That's what it's about. And that might sound slightly defeatist, but I really do worry. You know, this is a team that beat Partizan Belgrade 6-2 at home. This is a team that will be going for it. Yes, they're not playing at home. They are playing at Lublin. But at the end of the day, this is still a very good side we're up against. So for me, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw tonight and take them back to Hampden. Guys, look, this is where we're up to on that one. Just a bit of side news that came out as well in that press conference. Haji, the manager has come out and said that Haji will be sold this summer. This has been agreed with the player and his agent. Fine, fair enough. If Haji doesn't want to be here, sell him. Absolutely 100% agree with that one. But the one thing I will say is, can we please stop coming out and saying this? Can we please stop coming out and saying that we don't want these players and they are for sale? As the club do. Yes, the fans can say it because it doesn't really matter what the fans say in terms of their impressions that are created on other clubs. But if you are coming out in the media and you are saying, we don't want this player, we want to sell this player, then teams are watching that and going, oh, look, they don't want him. Oh, look, we will lowball them because they don't want them. You know, when you get a good fee for a player, it's because the other club thinks you want to hang on to that player and they have to spend some serious money to get that player off you. If you are coming out and saying, he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here, I'm going to sell him. At the end of the day, that creates a ceiling to your market. That lowers the price naturally of that player. And I think Clément needs to shut up on this aspect. I really do. I think he's being quite amateur with what he's saying as regards player sales. Well, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Obviously, keep your eyes out for videos and content today as we build up towards the match. Obviously, watch out as well. We've got the live watch along tonight, so please come and join us for that. Well, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, two things on the way out. Number one, smash the like. It beats the algorithm. And number two, as always, remember, we are the people.